Welcome to episode 202 of the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. Today, we're talking about the root causes of Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is two different things. It is an attack on your thyroid, so you have thyroid symptoms, and then you have something causing the attack, which is the autoimmune condition. However, there are root causes causing the autoimmune condition. So let's talk about what those root causes are, and more importantly, what you can do to address those root causes so that you can start feeling like yourself again. Welcome to the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. This is where you will find clarity and simple, sustainable strategies to feel better. I want to help you figure out your root causes. My name is Esther. I am a registered nurse. I know how exhausting it is to live with fatigue, brain fog, and the ups and downs of Hashimoto's. And that is why I'm here. I'm here to cut through the confusion and to give you practical steps that support your body, calm your immune system, so that you can regain your energy and feel like yourself again. So in the last episode 201, I talked about all of the basics. What is your thyroid? What is Hashimoto's? And a little tiny bit about what you can do. Today, we're going deeper into what are the primary root causes so that you can know what you can do. Now, if you want to shortcut this, you can skip today's episode and go straight into Hashimoto's Decoded. I have a root causes revealed mini course. I call it mini because in less than 1 hour, you are going to be able to figure out your root causes. And this is the common sense approach. There is a philosophy of test, don't guess. I'm not asking you to guess. I am teaching you about the root causes in Hashimoto's Decoded so that you can figure out, these are my root causes. Yes, if you want to go further, you can do lab testing, and we're not going to do that in less than an hour in the Hashimoto's Decoded mini course. That is less than an hour. You're going to get a little workbook. You're going to be able to make your map of exactly what you need to do in order to feel like yourself again. So if you want to hit pause on this episode, head down to the show notes and I will have a link right down there so you can click and go to Hashimoto's Decoded. I think it's very important that every single person knows your root cause, because if you do not know what is causing your immune system to go haywire, then there's nothing that you can do. And then you are essentially just a victim and you are a lifelong pharmaceutical patient. And I don't want that for you. I want you to feel like yourself again. I want you to have your symptoms go away. I want you to be on a stable or even lowering dose of your medication, because that means that your thyroid is doing what it's supposed to do, is producing the hormones that it's supposed to, and your body is converting as it is supposed to. The goal is always that your body is doing what it is designed to do. That is the goal. I just did a complete revision on episode 83 on the blog post. I went to answer somebody's question in a DM, and it was about supplements. And so I was like, you need to go to episode 83. Here's the blog post, and it will answer a lot of the questions. And as I opened the blog post, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of changes that I need to make. The essence of episode 83 of all about supplements with Hashimoto's or for Hashimoto's is getting your body to do what your body is designed to do. That is the goal of supplementation. That is the goal of activation. You can read more about that in the blog post or listen to it on episode 83. We want to get your body doing what it is designed to do. One of the things your body is designed to do is heal. And we want our thyroid to be able to heal. We want to stop the attack on it. We want your body to do what your body is designed to do so that you could feel like yourself again. So with every single autoimmune condition, there are 3 different things at play. And this is universal for all autoimmune conditions, at least all that I know of, because every autoimmune condition is an autoimmune condition. We name them different names: Hashimoto's, lupus, MS, type 1 diabetes. We name them different things because your immune system is attacking different things in the body. So they all get their own name. But at the root, all of them have 3 things in common. And one of them is a genetic condition. You cannot change your ancestry. We cannot be born again other than spiritually. That's a whole other topic. You cannot change your ancestry. Your genetics are your genetics. However, I hear the analogy of a loaded gun a lot. Your genetics are like a loaded gun, but something pulls the trigger. So you have your genes, but how they express is really up to a lot of lifestyle things and diet things. You look at the logo for Health with Hashimoto's, and it has 5 petals. It is a flower with 5 petals. There's a butterfly in the middle. Those 5 petals represent body, mind, spirit, diet, environment. There are different things in each one of those petals that can pull the trigger, that can change your genetics, and it can make things express differently. So the first thing every autoimmune condition has is a genetic component. The second thing is a gut component. Now, this for a lot of people is leaky gut. You cannot feel or see leaky gut. There are not easy tests for leaky gut. You can test for it, but it's just assumed now, as they've done more and more and more research on leaky gut. It's officially called intestinal permeability because it means things can permeate or go through your gut lining that they're not supposed to go through. The problem is when things go through the gut lining, then you have things that are too big, like bits of food, bits of protein. They're too big. They shouldn't have gone through. And then your body is like, oh, this isn't supposed to be here. It mounts a defense and it tries to attack that thing. And that is one reason you can get allergies and sensitivities because of leaky gut. But another thing that leaky gut impacts is autoimmune conditions. One of the reasons why leaky gut is assumed to, or why some people assume that leaky gut impacts autoimmune conditions is because your immune system is constantly fighting all of these particles that are too big. And so your immune system is working overtime. And I'm sure that you have done some overtime work in your life, and the more overtime you put in, the more tired you are, and the more cranky you are, and the more likely you are to snap at somebody that you love, right? Has that happened? I'm sure it has happened to you. You just get so tired, you're overworked, and all of a sudden you're cranky and you're attacking things that you normally wouldn't attack. And I'm not saying like physically, but you're not yourself. Well, that's your immune system. It's not working right. It's cranky. It's attacking things. It's overzealous. And the thyroid, one reason people think, or one of the theories of this immune system attack on your thyroid is that your thyroid has collected a lot of environmental toxins and your immune system is a little overzealous, but it's attacking your thyroid because it says, hey, there are things in here. The thyroid is hanging on to things that should not be here and we need to attack it and we need to get rid of it. So every single person with an autoimmune condition has a genetic component, has a gut component. Those are 2 of the 3. The third thing that every single person has is a trigger. You have a genetic component. That's the same for everybody. You have a gut component. That's the same for everybody. Genetics, gut, huge categories. You have a genetic component and a gut component. The other thing is a trigger. Now, the triggers can vary from person to person, and there are 8 common triggers. So let me quickly go over those. The summer series this year, I usually do a shorter episode format in the summer, around 10 minutes instead of 20 minutes. And I have a theme. This year, the theme is your root causes, knowing what's going on. Because the more you know, the more you can choose different things to address the problems. If I don't know, let me give you a quick example. When my 3rd boy was 1 year old, we went to his well child check. And because we lived in a really old house, they're like, it's standard that we do a lead check. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So they drew the labs. And then, we went on with life. Well, I was working in the ER over the weekend. I want to say it was for sure a weekend. It might have been a holiday weekend where it was longer. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to check on his labs because I was in the hospital system. And back then you could access family charts without breaking any sort of HIPAA. Now things have changed and you're not supposed to. But back then it was 100% fine. So I logged in, checked his labs, and I saw 2 red exclamation points and it said critical lab value. And I was like, oh my goodness, my heart sunk. I was completely stressed out. Like my My 1-year-old has toxic amounts of lead. That was the knowledge. Now I knew what I was dealing with. Then I had to figure out two different things. I had to figure out, number one, how to stop the lead from going into his body. Where is he picking it up? How is he becoming toxic? And then the second thing I needed to figure out was how to get the lead out. So I needed to prevent more lead from going in. And at the same time, I needed to get the lead that was already in, I needed to get that out. Well, it's the same thing with your root causes. You need to have the knowledge. You need to know what is going on. And then you need to do two things at the same time. Number one, figure out how to lower that root cause, prevent more from going in. And at the same time, figure out how to mitigate whatever that root cause was. So if it's environmental stressors, if it's environmental toxins, just like the lead, then we need to figure out how to get it out of your body in a safe way. Because sometimes if you go through a detox, it can be really, really hard on your body. You can actually cause more harm than when your body was just, biding its time, kind of had things protected in bubbles. Your body is very good at protecting itself from further harm, which is why it stores some toxins in your thyroid. It just sticks them there for later. It stores other things in fat cells. It wraps it in bubble wrap, a bubble wrap of a fat cell to keep it away from everything else. Some toxins go into your bones. That's where the lead is stored. So with my son, we could get some of it out, and then as you get it out of his bloodstream, then more is released from the bones because the blood can accept more or something. I just know that it goes in cycles. So you remove it from the blood, and then the bones release more, and then you have to remove that from the blood, and then the bones release more. So there are systems and there are things that you have to do once you figure out the root causes. And like I said, Hashimoto's decoded in 1 hour, less than 1 hour. I'm helping you figure all of those out. But that's what we're talking about over the summer, is the different root causes and what you can do. So briefly, here are the 8 most common triggers, and they're each going to get their own episode. Number 1 is stress. And you're like, yeah, Esther, I know that one. Absolutely. The thing is, there's a lot of different kinds of stress. We're going to go through body, mind, spirit, diet, environment. There are stressors in each one of those areas, and it is your duty as somebody with Hashimoto's to figure out, okay, where are my different stressors? What can I lower? And how can I deal with the stress that I cannot lower? Because there are some stressors that you can't get rid of. They're just part of your life. So you get to figure out how to deal with them and how to lower your response to the stress. Another one, and this one does need testing, not just guessing, it is vitamin D levels. When you have low vitamin D, that is a trigger for many autoimmune conditions. It's a trigger for a lot of things. During COVID, we heard a lot, at least I heard a lot about vitamin D, because it was directly correlated with COVID levels. So vitamin D is something that you need to test. We're going to do a full episode about this over the summer. Just know that it is one that you can do through the mail. I want to say I got one on Amazon, or I got one for sure on FullScript. You can just get a little card in the mail and then poke your finger, send it to the company, and they send your results in your email. Low vitamin D is one of the common triggers. Hormone changes. Now, if you've heard any of the episodes I've done about fertility, about puberty, I had guests on for both of those topics. A lot of Hashimoto's triggers or gets started during the 3 Ps: puberty, pregnancy, and perimenopause. Hormone changes can be a trigger for Hashimoto's. Another is food reactions. We've talked about gluten. I had Mickey Trescott on a little bit ago talking about the autoimmune protocol, and that is a huge tool to figure out what your body does and does not want as far as different ingredients. Another trigger is environmental chemicals and toxins. It's huge. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in the Bath & Body the Bath & Body era, when you went to the mall and you always swung by Bath & Body Works. I had my favorite smell. I would love to know what your favorite smell is. We kind of all had our favorites. And you might not be the same age as me, but there are different things environmental chemicals that I'm sure you can think of. You're like, oh yeah, fabric softener. All of my laundry smells a certain way. Well, those are VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and there's a lot of other environmental chemicals. I could and I will go into more detail over the summer when we talk about that. Blood sugar issues, I'm not just talking about people who are diabetic. I'm talking about anybody. And high blood sugar and low blood sugar can be a trigger for Hashimoto's. In fact, low blood sugar is actually more of a trigger than high blood sugar for Hashimoto's. And some of that comes back to stress, because low blood sugar, think of yourself when you get hangry, you're stressed. So blood sugar issues can be a trigger. That is 6. Number 7 is iodine. This one, I've honestly been unwilling to do a podcast episode about iodine because there is very good research on both sides of this issue. Some people believe that you need more iodine. Some people think that you need less iodine. We do know that when your thyroid produces T4, it gets that number 4 because there are 4 molecules of iodine. So you obviously need some iodine for your thyroid to be working. So we will talk about iodine this summer. I'll finally tackle it after over 200 episodes where I have not tackled iodine. But you deserve to know. You need to know what's going on. The 8th one that we're going to talk about this summer, and I might not go in this order over the summer, by the way, it is infections of any kind. And this could be bacterial infections or viral infections. It could be mold, which isn't technically an infection, but there are infections of any kind, and that can be a trigger. So in summary, Hashimoto's is your body, your immune system attacking your thyroid. We have to address why is your immune system going haywire? And then we have to also address what we can do to support your thyroid. So knowing your root causes is crucial. You can go through Hashimoto's Decoded right now. The link is down in the show notes. It's super cheap. In fact, when I'm talking to somebody about the different things I offer for pay, they're like, why is there this gap? You have something for $27 right now, and then you have your Hashimoto's root cause reset, which is over $500. This is a huge gap. And I'm like, yes, I know, but I want every single person to be able to figure out their root causes. I know that there is there's a gap between $27 and $550, I think it is right now. I know there's a gap. And that's intentional because I priced the Hashimoto's Decoded so low so that it would be available for everybody. I really want every single person who listens to my podcast to be able to figure out what their root causes are. I want you to be able to shortcut your time so that you know exactly what to do. And then the Hashimoto's root causes reset is taking you by the hand and leading you through, okay, how are you going to navigate these? Now that you know your root cause is, what next? And you can figure that out on your own. I am a DIY person, so I had to do all of this myself. But I want to make it shorter for you. I want to be able to walk alongside you and support you and figure out how you can shortcut your time so you can feel like yourself again. Because I don't want you wasting any more days, weeks, months, or years looking for answers. I want you to have all of the answers that you can be able to implement things ASAP. So join me this summer, send this podcast to a friend, and let's heal and learn together. I am excited for this series, and I will see you next week. Oh, by the way, I will still have guests. So every 3rd episode, I typically have a guest, and the guests are not going to be necessarily following this root cause theme. I have been interviewing people over the last month or 2, and I'm just going to schedule those out through the summer. So I am excited about some of those guests. I think you're going to really like it. All right, let's have a great summer. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any changes with your trusted healthcare provider. To take your next step, join our school community and explore the courses available there. You do not have to figure your health out alone. So that is school, SKOOL.com, and it is the Health with Hashimoto's community. I'll see you next time on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.